for tuning in to ww2, bringing the world's latest news to you. On today's show, we will be discussing what's happening in war for African Americans and what progress is happening back home. And we also have an interview with the Tuskegee Airman, Luther Smith. Now to the studio with Miss Salam. It's no secret that the war has changed African American life. Here to give you the latest news on African Americans is my co-host, Denasia Green.
Good afternoon, America. Most of you know that African Americans have not got the same treatment as other races. Speaking of different races, 900,000 African Americans were trained in segregated camps. Under great pressure, civil rights organizations helped the military change policy. African Americans can now join combat positions, tank operations, sailors, and flight pilots. In 1941, the U.S. Army organized the nation's first flying unit made up of black pilots. The Tuskegee military based in Alabama, where they trained, were known for their bravery and flight against German warplanes. Congrats Tuskegee Airmen for its combat against German force. Blacks will soon serve alongside with white Navy ships.
Also, as factories began to gear up for war production, many didn't hire African Americans. It wasn't required for companies to hire them as mechanics or aircraft technicians. But when the nation's leading black labor leader, A. Philip Randolph, called for a march in Washington, D.C., President Roosevelt responded by issuing an order to all employers and labor unions to end discrimination because of race, color, or national origin. So now, in 1944, about 2 million African Americans were working in factories across the nation. What would the war effort look like if these 2 million African Americans weren't working in factories, now producing bullets, gunpowder, weapons, steel, and tanks, etc.? So now a word from my sponsors. Next, an interview with the Tuskegee Airman, Luther Smith.
We want you to join the army. Fight, fight, fight for the red, blue, and white.
Now we will have an interview with Luther Smith. Good afternoon, Luther Smith. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing fine yourself.
Okay, so we're gonna ask you a couple questions, okay? Can you tell us something of your childhood and education?
Okay, so you want to know something about my childhood and education? Okay, so I was born in Cleveland, Ohio on December 7th, 1919. My mother passed away as my sister birthed when I was a little over 1 year old. When I was in 3rd grade, my father was teaching at Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a little bit of information.
When did you first become interested in flying?
Good question. I like. Okay. So I don't even recall seeing a plane when I was younger. It was about the time I was in college that the Army was beginning to recruit non-flying people like engineering, armaments, and machines for a black experiment. And on October 27th, I was sworn into the enlisted reserve. A few weeks later, I got the call to go to Tuskegee.
Tuskegee. Were you assigned to a particular plane?
Yes, I was. My usual P51C was 42103072, which as I recall, bore the buzz number 78. I christened it Kitten, which was my wife's nickname, my crew chief. Keep it purring too.
What were you doing when the Korean War broke out?
You want to know everything. Okay, so in May 1950, I got orders to go to where they assigned me. I was grounded in the pilot reduction but I had taken the flight officers program exam and had a hip pocket warrant and operating. So I ended up as a base operating officer at Clark Field. Then on June 25th, the Koreans invaded South Korea, and anyone who had experience on P-51 or F-51, as it had been designated, was put on flight status. I flew to the K-9 script to check on the progress and spent the night under my wing of the plane.
Okay. What were you feeling when Japanese attacked the Pearl Harbor on your birthday?
My father was preaching in church in Gary, Indiana, in 1941, and I had taken a summer job in the steel mill there. We was driving to sing at church in South Chicago at 4 that Sunday afternoon when we heard the news of the attack on Pearl Harbor. We went on with the show, but I knew that one way or another I was going to be involved with the war.
I'm so sorry that had to happen on your birthday.
Still hunting.
Thank you for interviewing with me.
See you another time.
Now we will have Aasiyah Smith. Oh. One more thing.
Indonesia.
Okay. African Americans served the military. We had no one else, so we were necessary. 5,000 African Americans served in the Coast Guards. The people at battlefield was really in charge. 167 served in the Navy. Under the water, we really were gravy. Oh. During those times, you could not be lazy. Blacks and whites segregated. Wasn't that crazy? African Americans dealt with bravery. We reunite, working hard morning to the night. We had to use all our might. We only was taught to fight, fight, fight.
Fight, fight, fight.
Thank you.
That's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next time for an interview with the creator of Uncle Sam.